People don't understand how family courts work and what the incentives are in family courts. People think of them as, an objective judge and this sort of thing. But the way that family courts are managed is they prevent you from presenting contrary evidence. That's why I've never been allowed to select a psychologist for my son. The courts will never allow me to do that. The courts pick the psychologist who will then present the evidence to the court, right? Now, fortunately, I've been able to record them. I've been able to gather evidence and actually prove that they perjured themselves, so they've had to throw out all this evidence. But it's taken a lot of work and it's cost me a lot of money to do that, right? And most people can't do that. So family courts basically work off of fabricated evidence. That's number one. Number two, there's really no appeal from family courts. So family courts, unlike normal, like civil courts or criminal courts, there's almost no appellate options out of a family court. So the judges operate with no oversight and just do whatever they want. And third, and this is the big one, there are massive federal programs that were instituted in the late 1970s that pay states trillions of dollars to tear families apart. So it's so innocuous when I tell you, be like, this is a great program. But like in Texas, we get 66 cents on the dollar put into the Texas Treasury for every dollar of child support that's paid. Right? So the state is now highly incentivized to issue the maximum amount of child support. That's why almost all divorces got 50-50 prior to the 1980s. And there was this skyrocketing of divorces where one parent loses custody. And that was to maximize Title IV-D reimbursements to the states. In Texas, it's $500 million to the Texas budget.
If the state is profiting off of child support?
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement. It's a massive program. It's the size of the largest defense programs. So the incentives are absolutely huge.
To get people to pay child support?
Correct.
Even married people, to get them to break up and then have to pay each other child support?
Absolutely, yeah. So because you would think the best child support would just be 50-50 custody and let people raise their kids. The best child support is to raise your own kid. That's the best child support. But they don't do that. Most states actually have laws prohibiting the courts from doing that. Texas has a family code in which it's assumed to be in the child's best interest that one parent get 24% of the time. And the reason 24% was chosen precisely is it maximizes Title IV-D reimbursement to the state at 24%. Okay?
How's the maximization function? How does it come out at 24%?
So it has to do with how the state calculates child support. So Texas has one of the worst child support systems in the state. It doesn't take into account the income of both parents, and it doesn't take into account the amount of time you spend with the child. So there are fathers out there with 49% of the time that are paying maximal child support still.
Wow.
But again, that maximizes the reimbursement to the state. I have a friend of mine, him and his wife came to an agreement to do 50-50 parenting, no child support, because he watches the kids a lot while she travels for her work. And so it all worked out, and they decided it's just better to do it this way. The state of Texas sent an attorney to argue in the case that they should not be allowed to do 50-50 custody. A huge kickback, yeah.
Wow.
An even more evil program that's related to this, Title IV-E. Title IV-E pays the states to adopt out orphans.
What do you mean adopt out orphans?
So
like
whenever
whenever
CPS takes a child from someone and then adopts them into a good family, they get Title IV-E reimbursement funds, and it's a lot of money. It's like $50K per child.
The state gets that money?
Yes, it goes into the state budget.
And where does it come from?
Federal government.
Interesting.
Yep. So what will happen in Texas is some satellite office of CPS will get low on budget, and they'll go and find a white baby under 2 years old, no medical problems, from working class parents who can't afford a lawyer, and then they take the child and adopt it out, and then they get $50,000 for their budget. That's how they do it. There's massive incentives to split up families in this country, and that's why you've had the explosion of divorce and rancor. So now you have the majority of children in America are being raised in fatherless homes. We passed 50%. This is the whole, you talk about this, you call it conspiracy theorist, right? But they're blatant about it. They're absolutely blatant about it. But I think the agenda is not only population reduction, but also to reduce the political power of the middle class, right? If you've been to Europe, most of you have been to Europe. I've been to Asia a lot as well. Nobody cares about free speech there.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about rights there. There's one place in the world where people care about free speech and rights, and that's the American middle class.
Yep.
They have to disempower the American middle class to get rid of these things. And so the best way to do that is to take fathers out of the homes. Yeah, so a lot of people don't understand how.
That's why this system got to go. And I want to say shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh.
This seems to be the tax dollars at work. I've discovered that the Coalition for Humane Immigrant
Salaki to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Rule Well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. News in the gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the spirit. I don't know this guy's name, but every time I click on TikTok, there's always some type of, I guess it goes by the algorithm. But dude was basically going into how child support, or how the federal government has incentivized the state to totally destroy people's families. And, you know, I've been well aware of that for some time since I came into the truth. But when you realize the whole Ponzi scheme behind birth certificates and social security numbers and custody battles and how unaffordable it is to fight in family court, it makes sense as to why it makes sense as to why they tried to break up the families, man. And ultimately Israelite families, because child support really targets people that can't pay. This is a sore subject, you know, and it pisses a lot of people off, and it should, because, you know, a lot of men, a lot of Jake men in particular, and Edomite men are being totally liquidated by the system unjustly, having all types of rights being violated, due process, you know, with the fabrication of evidence that's being pit against you. You have what they called aggravated identity theft, when basically the baby mama comes in and she forges your signature, or she gives the state your social security number, which that's technically illegal, because for the simple fact, to steal somebody's identification or to give somebody's identification to a foreign entity without their consent, that's identity fraud, man. You know, that's just like giving somebody your HIPAA information, your medical information. But yet the woman gets rewarded for that, while the man gets oftentimes hemmed up. And, you know, out of all the protests and riots and all this other stuff, it's surprisingly that the men have not risen up against this system in the terms of this, because this has been a racket going on the last 30, 40, 50 years. And it really came to surface during the time of the Clinton administration, because he hid this bill in there that basically that lumped you fathers on a rope for this money that they've been stealing from you, which they have no right to, man. And you heard what the guy said. It said it took him a lot of time and money and effort to fight this case to get it totally dismissed. But the average person, they don't have that type of mind. I mean, that type of money. Okay, at minimum, you paying $3 or $4 grand for a lawyer just to come up with a parenting plan, just so she can get the kids and continue to influence them. And then on top of that, they still charging your ass for this wickedness, man. Which Title 4D basically is what they call the golden goose. You know, it funds the pensions of the lawyers, the judges, the state's attorneys, you know, the magistrates, the courts, the politicians, while you're working 80 hours a week to try to pay a bill that you would never get from under, because they tag on interest every month. Every time you got a balance, they put interest on it. So if you in the arrears, you could be $200 in the arrears, and they can take that $200. You can literally pay for the rest of your life off of $200 in arrears, because the arrearage goes up every month. So you're stuck in a aggressive cycle, or you're stuck in a daily cycle of paying these people until something happens, man. And this is going to cause a lot of men to crash out. And a lot of you baby mamas out there, a lot of you're going to have a day of reckoning when really shit hit the fan, because this shit here has destroyed a lot of men's lives. It's put them in bondage. Men have not been able to see their kids. And you baby mamas, man, you've been living high off the hog. So it's going to come a time that your blood will be required, because this is a fucked up system, to say the least. You know, and Esau, you going to pay, man. So I did a search, because Title 4D, child support, is very unconstitutional. For one thing, the state or the child support services is a private entity. That's private. Okay, so that's just like McDonald's or Burger King saying that they are suing me because I chose not to get the McDouble with extra mild sauce. You know what I'm saying? That's like them suing me because I didn't want to check out a number 3 on a deluxe menu. I don't have to go into business with you people, and it's voluntary. You know? You didn't consent to it. You didn't sign no papers, no nothing. But it says Title 4D of the Social Security Act, which establishes child support enforcement programs, has faced challenges regarding its constitutionality, particularly regarding its impact on individual rights and its potential for abuse. It says, while generally upheld by the Supreme Court, there have been concerns raised about the financial incentives within the Title 4D and their potential to lead to unconstitutional actions, which all this shit is illegal. Taxes, this, all right, the fact that you got to pay a 401k, all that shit, man. You know? It says Title 4D was created to ensure that children receive financial support from both parents. That's bullshit. Because for one thing, you don't need the state to take care of your kids. You and the mother come up with an agreement, and then y'all settle on it. Oftentimes what happens is because she gets bitter and the bitch gets greedy, she wants to sick the state boys on you and let them have their way, not knowing that that's going to totally destroy the family, because most men that get sick child support on them, they don't want to have nothing to do with the kids at that point. Because it's like, why would I fight you to go to have a relationship with my kids and you fed me to the state boys? See, the black woman, she's an agent of the state, man. She's an agent of chaos. And if you tell them this information, they don't care. As long as it makes you pay and as long as it makes you suffer, they don't care what it do. They don't care how wicked it is. This is why a lot of you women are going to get unalived. It says even if the parent is no longer together, it says it provides federal funds to the state to establish and maintain child support enforcement programs. Okay. Challenges to constitutionality. It says due to process and equal protection, some argue Title 4D, especially the way it is implemented, can violate the due process and equal protection clauses of the Constitution. It says the financial incentives for the state and individuals involved in child support enforcement have been criticized for creating a system where financial gain can outweigh constitutional rights. Also, it says concerns have been raised about how the state Title 4D programs are structured and whether they properly adhere to the separation of powers, which we're under foreign entity anyway. So technically a foreign entity or under the Hague have no jurisdiction over a United States citizen. But since you've been sold out by your government, I mean, you really have no rights. All right. Here it says Supreme Court generally upheld the constitutionality of Title 4D. Yep, they restrict all that shit, man. Yep, so this let's get a preset real quick, because Esau, he's gonna pay for this, man, because they call it the golden goose of the courts. But this is Deuteronomy 24, and I'm gonna start at verses 14. It says, "Thou shalt not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy." A hired servant is a person that's working for money. We're hired servants because we have to work. But instead, they'll take half your paycheck and then put you in arrearage and then take your tax return. So you're stuck on the federal government, you owe the state government, and you owe their ass. And then they take your license, and then if you need your license to work, how can you work? Henceforth, you lose your job, you're in more debt. See how wicked it is? And nobody's ever thought to rise up against this shit. Though you got people that's challenging jurisdiction and people are getting cases dismissed. But it's very far in between, man, because the average stupid nigga out there, he don't understand his rights, man. Even though Jake technically don't have any rights, but even then, it's just not enough people are crying out about it, so they get away with it. But it will come a time that you judges, you lawyers, or you administrative assistants, you baby mamas, it will come a point in time that Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is going to allow some get back, man. Especially brothers that's been caught up in this system by these wicked ratchet ass baby mamas that they dealt with. The Lord is going to require, the Lord is going to require that at your hand, man. Okay, you're not getting away with oppressing the men in the Lord, because you got brothers that suffer behind this shit, man. Lost houses, lost businesses, jobs, families behind this shit. The child hates them. The baby mama demonizes them. And here he pays the bitch child support and she's still calling him a deadbeat. How is he a deadbeat and he's financially supporting a fucking kid? You see, so either way it go, it's a lose-lose situation. That's why I said, in due time, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, all you women that has went to this child support system and you put them in on child support, 9 times out of 10, every last one of you will be destroyed. Just a matter of time, man. Wait till the hour of wait till the system collapse and wait till these bureaucracies go down, because this child support shit, what I ain't telling you is that, hey, they gonna run, the well gonna run dry on that. People gonna stop paying. People gonna start paying these judges, these state's attorneys. People gonna start paying them a visit. People gonna start paying you baby mamas a visit. And we gonna see how well that's gonna go. But it says, thou shalt not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in the gates, that are in thy land within thy gates. And it says, and at his day thou should give him his hire, neither should the sun go down upon it, and which proves that we're supposed to get paid before the day goes down. Okay, because Esau makes you wait 2 weeks for a paycheck. But wait a minute, what if you need food and groceries today to take care of your family? You got to wait 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks to get your money. And then they taxing it. But it says, for he is poor and setteth his heart upon it, lest he cry against thee unto Yahweh, and it be a sin unto thee. Okay, so there you go. Another precept. Go to book of Job 20 and 20 and 18. Because like I said, you got brothers that's caught up in this shit, man, and it's not cool. Well, she goes out and played a whore, you know, he may have left for whatever reason because she was a demon. And usually in that case, men leave because it's unbearable, because the woman, she wants to totally control everything. She wants to dictate the pace. She wants to do X, Y, and Z. And the minute you put your foot down, there's a fight, and then you end up leaving. Then she sicks the state boys on you. So it's like you fucked either way. Because eventually you stay there, you're going to end up putting in the spirit world because of the disrespect, or you leave, you still got to deal with it. So there's no around it. But it says here, Job 20, and I'm going to start at verses 18. It says, that which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance should the restitution be, and he should not rejoice therein. Yeah, because there's going to be a time of recompense, that all you've stolen, all you've oppressed, you're going to have to pay that back, and then some. This is why, hey, brothers, man, it's not wise to be having babies, man. Okay? Like, honestly speaking, if I known what I've known today, I promise you I would have made that mistake. But you brothers out there that still got a chance of not putting your seed in one of these women, hey, don't give away your freedom for this shit, bro. It ain't even worth it. You know what I'm saying? Have your kids in the kingdom, because on this side, it's hard to raise children in the right way because they're being totally exposed to all this wickedness. So if you can avoid having children, you don't, even though I know things happen and it's all through the Lord because he controls everything. But, hey, Lord's be the will. You brothers out there that don't have kids, keep it that way, man. Okay, it's not that fucking serious. Don't be putting babies in these wicked ass holes, man. They're not worth it. I mean, if you with a shorty and y'all rocking and you know she's for you, I mean, that's different. But even then, I don't give a fuck. You can be Sarah. I'm not putting no baby in you on the side, because it's not gonna happen. You know. But it says here, because he have oppressed and have forsaken the poor, because he have violently taken away a house which he built not. Yeah, you have forsaken the poor. Okay, you've overthrown lands. You've totally destroyed families, like the Edomite said. He said they pay them billions of dollars to totally destroy people's families, man, because they understand child support will totally destroy the family, because the man becomes bitter. What man that pays child support is really going to fight for his kid after that? Which you shouldn't have to fight for something that's yours. It's yours. But what man is going to stick around and continue to take the abuse and pay child support? He's going to leave. He's going to say, you know what? I'll pay you, but I don't want nothing to do with you or that kid. And Esau knows that. That's why a lot of guys that pay the child support, they're absent, because it's just like, shit, what the hell? And it says here, surely he should not feel quietness in his belly, and he should not save that which he desired. There should none of his meat be left. Therefore should no man look upon his goods, man. And in the fullness of his sufficiency, he should be in straits, which is positions of difficulties, and every hand of the wicked should come upon him. And you go into that word wicked, it goes into laborers, because all the people that you fucked over in your systems with the taxes and all this other stuff, eventually they're going to all pay you a visit. Okay, so hey, brothers, these bureaucracies, they gonna fail. People gonna start attacking these federal buildings. They're gonna start attacking these state governments. People gonna start ransacking these family courts. Hey, people are already unaliving judges, man. You know, so it's just a matter of time before the shit hits home. But people are getting tired. They're getting fed up. Okay, because you're pushing people to the brink of insanity. They don't have anything. You know, but Psalms 12, and I'm gonna start at verses 4. It says, matter of fact, let's start at 3. It says, the Lord should cut off all the flattering lips and the tongue that speaketh proud things, and that you devils who have said with our own tongue, we will prevail. Going into your new world order, it says our lips are our own, who is Lord over us, because Esau in his mind said he is God. Okay, Esau thinks he's totally defying the Most High, but you ain't doing nothing but outside what the Lord is allowing you to do. Okay, the fact that the Lord has a spirit of deceit in you to the point you believe that you are over the Most High, that's a spirit of the Lord say he would choose their delusions. So Esau is in a highly deluded state of mind, man. He's delusional to think that the Lord is not in control and that he's not going to pay back. But it says here, who said with our tongue we will prevail, and our lips are our own, who was Lord over us. But it reads, for the oppression of the poor, for the sighting of the needy, now would I arise, says the Lord. And we're seeing the Lord raise up, man, through these storms, these tempests, you know, these different tensions of riots. And we ain't seen none yet. And it says, and I will set him in safety from all that puffet at him, man. Because you devils, man, you've done nothing but puffet our people. And you continuing in this day. All right. Proverbs 14. A couple more precepts here. But, man, this is a wicked satanic system. And I pray every day to the Lord that he destroys this goddamn place. Because like I said, that child support, that shit is a yoke of iron, man. That shit is unjust. It's unfair. It's unnecessary. And it is plain fucking wicked. And Esau, you gonna pay for that shit. Proverbs 14. And I'm gonna start at verses 31. It says, he that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, but he that honoreth him have mercy on the poor. Okay? But you oppress the poor. So you reproaching Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, man. You know? Proverbs 22, verses 16. And it says, he that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. Yeah, because it's a revolving door. They create these programs to keep themselves rich. I'm talking about at the end of the year, these motherfuckers are getting an extra salary on top of what they make. Like the average judge can make $200,000 a year, but off your hard working money, out of your child support that he's robbing you of, that you can never get from under because the arrearage will never go away, no matter how much you pay. You can pay arrearage for 10 years on $100 arrearage. You will literally be paying that for the rest of your life because it ain't gonna go away. You will call, hey man, I thought I paid this off. And then before you know it, that $100, the next month is $500. Like, how the fuck does it go up when you paying? Maybe y'all should stop paying. Maybe it will go down. All right. But nonetheless, while you sitting here stuck in a rut, in a pit, the judge is taking home an extra $90,000 a fucking year off your money. And then he looks, you know, he feels some type of way when somebody decides to take him up on that. Like, hey, bro, what's up? And he's looking like, oh, my God, how can you violate the law? No, you're stealing from people. Same thing with these wicked ass state's attorneys. And most of them are fucking women. Like, you notice a lot of the state attorneys, they're either black women or Edomite women or Hispanic women. And they do the bidding of this system. (22) It says, rob not the poor because he is poor, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. It says, for the Lord will please their cause and spoil the souls of them that spoil them. So you're going to be spoiled, man. You ain't getting away with oppressing the Lord's people because Jake suffered from this shit more than anybody else, man. And they did that on purpose. All because he dealing with some ratchet ass black woman, got mad because he left her or he had another baby on her. And she goes down there and puts him on child support just so she can be a fucking demon. Ezekiel 18:12. He have oppressed the poor and needy and have spoiled by violence, yeah, through your bloodshed, through your sword. it says, have not restored the pledge, and have lifted up his eyes to the idols, any have committed abomination, and have given forth usury upon usury, and have taken increase. Should he then live? Hell no, you can't live. You know, like you got men that's getting $200-$300 a fucking paycheck taken away from him. How the hell is he gonna lose, man? Like, do you know how much a difference an extra $200 makes on your paycheck? Like when you gross or your net pay is like, I think the net is like before tax. So let's say if your net pay is $1,800, $2,000 every 2 weeks, then your gross pay may be like $1,600. You know what I'm saying? Your take home pay. But when they taking $300 out your fucking check, you feel that $300 missing. That shit hurts, man, because rent goes up. Average rent today is $1,200, man. So that one check, you could have paid your rent and had at least a good $300-$400 left over to do what you need to do until the next paycheck, and you build on top of that. But they take it all. Like them $200-$300, that shit make a big difference in a working person's arsenal, man. That makes a big difference in a working man's life. An extra $200. You know what a person could do with an extra $200 a month besides fuck it off to you? And a lot of you jakes, man, you need to get your head out your ass, bro, and realize that your ass is in captivity. This is slavery. But it says, he should not live. He have done all these abominations. He should surely die, and his blood should be upon him. So Esau, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is going to destroy you, man. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is going to destroy you black women. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is going to destroy you fucking Latin women and you Edomite bitches that put your men in this system. All because you were mad. James 2. Let's start at verses 2. And I'm going to start at 2. It says, for if there come unto you an assembly of men with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there come also a poor man in vile raiment, and ye have respect unto him that weareth the gay clothing, and said to him, sit thou here in the good place, and say to the poor, stand thou there or sit under my footstool. Are ye not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? And that's you IUIC niggas. You're Shauna Jake for having a rough garment on, man. But it says, hearken, my beloved brethren, and not Yahweh have chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, which ye have promised to them that love him. So the Lord is dealing with the poor. But it reads, but ye have despised the poor, but do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Right. Because if you don't have that money, they can lock your ass up in contempt, which technically there's no such thing as putting somebody in contempt of court for an alleged debt that you owe that's not even been validated. All right. There's no contempt. You can't put nobody in contempt of court because they didn't pay your fucking bills. Like because you didn't allow them to steal, because you didn't allow them to steal from you and you challenge the jurisdiction. They'll put you in contempt. Oh, well, you ain't gonna lock you up. How the hell you gonna lock somebody up because they ain't got the fucking money? That's wickedness, man. That's why Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is gonna burn this fucking system down, because just thinking about it, it really pisses you off, man. Because how the fuck do they even get away with this shit? And I know how they get away with it, because you Americans, you stupid as hell. Okay, you sold your sovereignty over for convenience. You know, but it's all through the Lord. You know, it's all through the Spirit. Baruch 3, and I'm going to start at verses 8. It says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. So this is part of the punishment. Okay, but anyway, Lord's will, we almost the hell up out of here. But with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. Lord's will, you will edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.